Les from Delta here. We are going to talk today about how to create a new calibration on a Bowman XRF. Now I'm going to be using the 3.1.2 version of the software. It's all pretty much the same. So the first thing that we're going to do is we want to come over here to calibrate. And we're obviously going to create a new calibration. On this screen, we want to build out what our sample actually looks like. So for today, what we're going to do is build a calibration for zinc on steel. So it's just a simple 2-layer calibration. So we want to come down here to number of layers, and we're going to make that 2. And now we've got this nice little graphical representation of what our sample is. Now we come up here to our periodic table, grab whatever our element is that we want, in this case zinc. We're going to put that on top in our coating, and then our base layer is just steel. Obviously, a lot of times we say steel and we just mean iron. If you are using any kind of steel alloy, make sure you include those other elements in your substrate. We're going to hit next, and now it's going to come up to the actual calibration measurement screen. The first thing that you're going to see over here is your standards library. Now this standards library has been slimmed down to only show the applicable standards that you've already got loaded into your standards library. So you're not going to see anything like cad on steel in here or gold, nickel, copper, because all we're doing is zinc on steel. Over here, we've got what standards we're actually using for our calibration. Now, just because we have all of these standards doesn't mean that we're actually going to use all of them in our calibration. Steel and zinc here are already in blue. If you look down here, the library is blue, and that means it's already been measured, it's in the library, and we're just pulling that spectrum forward. If all of the standards that you want to use are already in your library, all you have to do is drag them over. So for instance, I want to use this 387 micro-inch zinc on steel standard. I'm just going to bring this over, and because it was in the library, it's blue. I don't have to do anything. Now, let's say that, all right, so let's say a standard I want is not already in the library. We can actually add standards to the library from this screen, and we're going to do that by hitting this Add Standard button. And I have a plated 1100 micro-inch zinc on steel standard. So we're going to choose plated. If it was just a foil, we're going to want to hit foil. We're plated, so we're going to hit plated. If you want to put in the serial number just so you know which one you're actually using, you can do that. This one is AEJK. Certification date, you can actually use the Bowman software as a reminder system for when your calibrations are due. So if you put in the certification date of your standard here, you get a little reminder in a year. Thickness units. Make sure this matches what your standard is measured in. So in this case, we are in micro inches, so we're going to select that. Composition, only important if we're talking about alloys, in which case you want that to match up with the composition units that you're using for your alloy. Now, we come here. We're going to expand out layer 1, and we work from top to bottom. So first layer is going to be our coating layer, and we're going to grab that in. And remember, we were doing zinc on steel, so we'll just drag zinc over. And now we're going to type in the thickness. So we're going to click our little drop arrow here, and we will make this 1100 because that is what this standard is in. If we were doing an alloy, we would drag and drop in whatever the rest of the alloy is. Now in this case, we've got a second layer, which is just our substrate. So we are going to drag over our steel, and this time for thickness, we want to click this infinite button. And that means we are never going to reach the other side of our steel layer because it's our substrate. And we just need the software to know that. So we're going to save that now. And if you have to, drag this guy up so you can hit the OK button. And now you can see that standard is now here in our library. And we're going to drag this over. Now you can see this guy here is yellow. It's a brand new one. We've never measured it. So before we can actually use it as part of our calibration, we need to measure it. And just like any other part, we are going to drop that in our X-ray. Focus her up. And now measure. Measurement's done, and you can see this guy is now green, so it's measured. So we have all of our standards in place now, and we're going to say that this is enough because we've only got a single layer. So what we'll do with this application is we've got our low standard 387 and our high 1100, and we'll verify that with some standard in between when we actually build out the application. If we had multiple layers, multiple elements, alloys, things like that, we're going to want more standards to account for those different layers. Now that we've done that, we're going to check our curve, make sure that that looks okay. Now you can see on this one, our standards aren't exactly on the line. So what I want to do is, in this case, we're going to say no infinite, and that's going to straighten this up, and we're going to catch our 2 points. Those are the two most important things that we want to do, is make sure that our standards that we just measured are on the line. Now that our curve looks good, we are going to save. And since it's a new one, it's going to ask us for a name. I like to be fairly clear on my name and put in what my coating is, my substrate. I like to put in the collimator and also my sample distance. This becomes really important when you have multiple either collimators or measuring distances, so you know that the application you're making has been calibrated with the right. This way it's really easy to know what your calibration settings were without having to go in and check the calibration file, and that becomes really important when we're building our application. And now we save, and at this point we are done with the calibration. Les from Delta, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our calibration and equipment solution videos. Video didn't answer your questions? That's okay. Click the link below, go to our website, you can contact us through there, or our Facebook page.